So the Class 37 is an iconic locomotive. This engine has been in service on British railways now for 60 years, and today is the day I got to go behind the scenes in a cab to go for a cab ride up the West Coast Mainline, talk to the driver and ask questions and find out exactly what it's like to drive one of these incredible trains.
So I'm with rail operations driver Rob for the day on a trip that takes a Class 37 loco running light starting at Crewe as we go up the West Coast Mainline and onto Kilmarnock, where we're picking up another train that's had work done on it and bringing it back down to Preston, where Rob's shifts end and another driver takes over. So we'll have lots of cab views from a Class 37 as we go up the West Coast Mainline, and I talk to Rob about his job, what it's like driving trains, and we also chat about other engines, routes and signals as we go. And our morning starts early as Rob assesses the engine, as he calls it, before he takes it out onto the rails.
So this is a jumper that if you're coupled up to another loco, it means it can work in multiple with another engine. You've got to make sure it's clipped in and it's on its securing chain. If that falls out and runs under the wheels, the engine will shut down and you've got a world of pain. Next thing we do is we have a look at the buffers and make sure that there's no movement in the buffers and that they're all where they should be, because sometimes they can leak. If you've got a damaged buffer, that can cause you problems. Really important thing in the prep is to check that I've actually got enough fuel to go and do the job. I've got 3/4 of a tank, it's more than enough.
Rob completes a few more checks, but even before we get into the cab to start driving, he confesses that he has a lot of love for this type of train.
Thing about a 37, it's all curves. Everything's a curve. So you get the windscreen that's got a slight curve in it, and then it's tapered down, and then there's a curve, and then there's another curve, and it's tapered down here, it's tapered that way. It's all angles and curves. Even the front end, if you look at it that way, it leans back ever so slightly. Every time I look at these engines, I just think to myself, you know what, they're just amazing looking machines.
The Class 37 was built by English Electric in Newton and Willows back between 1960 and 1965. The first ever unit, D6700, I actually saw in Derby last year at the Greatest Gathering. There's just over 60 Class 37s still in use today on the mainline railway, plus around 35 units preserved on heritage lines. And these units are much loved by many as iconic workhorses on the railway. And they're nicknamed tractors because of their deep thumping roar of their 12-cylinder engines. And today we're on 37884. That's one of 4 Class 37 units that the Rail Operations Group have, and our route today is to leave Crewe, head up the West Coast Mainline, but come off just after Carlisle and head to Kilmarnock, where we'll pick up another train to come back with. And on the return, Rob will drive the train back down to Preston. So into the cab then, and as Rob readies to leave, he gets me to release the parking brake.
And if you want to, do me a favour, see that wheel? Roll it all the way back this way, that's the parking brake. I'm in the South Yard, I'm at India Lima 1049, and that's me ready for Kilmarnock in Scotland.
It's not every day you get to do this. Well, Rob does this every day.
I'll wait for the signal. Thanks very much, bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
This is pretty cool. So we get the clearance from the signaller, we slowly make our way out of the yard, down the tracks, through Crewe Station, and then out, heading north on the mainline.
So we are going onto the West Coast Mainline?
We are, we're going out onto the fast line, and then in a moment you're going to feel the full force of English Electric. We can only do 75 light engine where the line speed's 90 miles an hour or above. Where the line speed's 90 miles an hour or below, we can only do 60. And the reason for that is we don't have the braking capacity to be able to slow down easily for the signal, so we reduce the speed. There's lots of rules and various things that dictate what you can and cannot do, obviously. So what I don't do is thrash the locomotive. I'll open it nice and gently and bring it up to power. That's what I'm doing now. Oh, listen to those turbochargers, they're absolutely beautiful. Listen to the motors, listen to the turbocharger. The locomotive talks to you. It's telling you that I'm ready to go. It's just the way a locomotive should be.
The film today is very much about Rob, his job, where he drives in the Class 37, but I'm obviously just having my own moment. I mean, I think the Class 37 is the most iconic engine on our railways, right? So I'm speeding up one the West Coast Mainline, and this is quite a privilege, and I'm just acknowledging that. But you do this every week. That's his job.
I get paid for it too.
He gets paid for it as well. This is amazing.
Now, the beeps and bells that you've been hearing in the background are the alarms for the AWS, the Advanced Warning System, and Rob explains how that works.
Right, so I've just had 2 yellows. I've got a single yellow ahead, and ahead of that I've got a red. So as I come up to this signal, the AWS will sound. I have to cancel the AWS, or the brake will apply, and this will go black, and then it will go back to this, what we call the sunflower that it's at the moment, and that goes to all black, then it goes back to yellow and black. So watch it. AWS. There you go.
Still heading north, of course, we speed through Wigan Northwestern, and I'm still just getting used to the sight of seeing other fast trains passing us in the opposite direction. And as I do, it's time to chat to Rob about his job.
I started in the railway in 1986 as a YTS, a trainee. I became a second man. Became a driver instructor, driver manager, and now I'm an operations manager. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm an engine driver. It's something I always wanted to do as a kid. And here I am on this engine, the same engine that I was on back in 1987. It's amazing that it's still doing the same kind of thing.
But I ask Rob, why is the Class 37 loved by so many people?
Because it's lasted so long, because it's so well built, because it's every line on the locomotive is a curve. It's a curvy engine. You just couldn't build something like this nowadays. Everything that you touch, all these clips, they're all brass. Those handles are brass. I've never seen a door handle broken in one of these engines in 40 years.
And then there's a great moment when we slow down for Preston Station, glide through the platforms, and then speed up again with a bit of thrash. Also, it's not just Class 37s. Rob is qualified to drive a variety of locos.
Loads of locos, loads of units. I drive the Hydroflex train that you've been on before. So, locos that I can drive or have driven, because obviously you can't drive them all, because you have certain locos will fall off your card, and then you can have to revalidate them. But I've driven 08s, 09s, Class 20s, Class 31s, 33s, 37s, HSTs, Class 43s.
How do you do that? How do you gain the miles on those units and get all that
You've got to go through courses and train up on the locos and go out and or convert from other locos that are similar to them. So the Class 37 was the loco that I did my basic training on in 1990. So I did 12 weeks training on these, and these were the basic locos. So any other diesel loco that I've trained on, I've converted from Class 37s.
And of course I have to ask about the Class 37, about the noise it makes. What about the thrash?
I don't do it for fun, right?
How do you drive a 37 properly?
Well, like just now, I've just got a green signal, so I'll open it up nice and gently, and you'll hear I'm bringing the power up gently. There you go, bringing it up, and the tone is lifting gently. The engine's building up, right? Listen to it, hear it. The motors are singing now. You hear them? You're listening. I'm hearing what the engine's doing. I'm hearing what the motors are doing. The loco's talking to me. Now I'm bringing it up to full power because I've got greens all the way ahead of me.
Now there's 3 windows on the front of a 37. The driver there, second man here, there's one in the middle. I've been getting a shot out the front, and there's a lot of dead flies, so I'm sorry about all the dead flies on the windscreen. However, on the driver and second driver, I noticed there is a wiper, and Rob has said that I can turn the handle here and get the wiper going, but there's no wiper on the middle window, is there? So Who gets to clean this? Who gets?
The engineers do that.
Engineers come on and okay. I should have brought like, you know, a bit of rag. I'm sorry about the dead flies.
I also asked Rob about his impressive route knowledge across the entire country.
That's part of the driver's knowledge, that he has to know his routes. It has to be in his head. I get Steve Profit, my boss, he'll come out and he'll examine me on the route. And all of that stuff. I need to know this. I get examined on a regular basis. My rules knowledge gets examined. Everybody thinks, oh, you just move a couple of levers as a train driver. I need to know this loco from nose to nose, everything that's in it, when it goes wrong, how to fix it, all the route knowledge. It's a lot, and that it doesn't happen overnight.
He showed me where you call it a horn, not a whistle.
Horn.
So I can do the horn later.
You can do it now.
I'll do the horn in a second. There's a little switch I can do the horn. More importantly, there's a couple of switches for the cab heaters, which are meant obviously to warm the train up. But what Rob tells me is that you can also place a sausage roll on top of the heaters, and after about 40 minutes that's warmed up the sausage roll nicely for your snack. And down here by my feet, and there are controls here too for the hot plate, and the hot plate literally is where you can put a kettle,
Yeah.
and you can warm up.
I've done potatoes and peas, and I've made a full meal in that hot
You've
plate.
cooked food on the hot plate. There's a hot plate for the switch, so you can make food. Yeah. In a minute, I'm going to ask him the obvious question: is, yeah, but where do you go to the toilet? But at the moment, I'm still just getting over the fact that where are we now?
We're coming up towards Garstang.
You've driven this so many times, you just know from looking where you are.
Yeah.
That's incredible. We've obviously been chatting off camera, and just Rob knows every curve, every gradient, every station, everything. Okay. All right, are we on time?
We are in fact just not on time, but running early as well, so we have to pull into a passing loop. And whilst we do that seems like a good time to ask Rob how one drives a Class 37.
So here we've got the reverser, so that makes the locomotive go forwards or reverse. We've got the power controller, that gives us power. We've got the straight air brake, that controls the brakes on the locomotive, okay? And we've got the train brake, that controls, or the proportional brake, that controls the brakes on the locomotive and the train when we're hauling a train. Here we've got the speedometer. We've got the amp meter that shows the power going into the motors. We've got the brake pipe, which is the brake that will feed into the train. We've got the vacuum brakes if this locomotive's fitted with vacuum brakes, which is not now. And you've got the bogie brakes that show what's happening with the bogies on the loco. You get the main reservoir gauge, which shows the main reservoir, the air that's in the air tanks of the loco.
Rob is qualified to drive a whole variety of diesel locomotives, but I have to ask him, out of all of them, does he have a favourite?
Of course I do.
What's your favourite?
And it will always be. So on this, it's the 37. Electric loco, I really do like the Class 93 because I've spent a lot of time on it, but I love the 87 as well. And the HST is a favourite. There's nobody that drives HSTs that will tell you they don't like them. The HSTs are a great train to drive. I've also got ones that I don't like, but the problem is it's kind of like asking your mother.
Favourite child?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every single one has got things that you like and you don't like about them.
So from Preston, we pass through Lancaster, still speeding north up the West Coast Mainline, through Carnforth and then Oxenholme, and then the railway turns inland a small way, joining up with the M6 as both road and rail take the same route through the landscape. To my right, I spy the Lowgill Viaduct, preserved and still in place, the old line that came up from Settle Junction that used to run here until the 1960s. And then we slow down a little as we pass through Carlisle Station, and then speed up again to get to Gretna Junction, where we'll come off the West Coast Mainline to head up to Kilmarnock.
This is us coming up to Gretna Junction. Once we come up underneath the next bridge and we cross a little bridge, the Sark, that's us actually in Scotland.
And again, running ahead of time, it means we've got a moment to do an important task. Tidy up the cab by taking the rubbish out.
Yeah, well, you've got to keep the place tidy and, you know, look after things.
Rob, does this count as getting out at a station?
Yes, this is us at a station.
Sadly, I don't think it actually counts though in my quest to get out at every station, so Gretna, I will have to return to you one day. This whole line though, up through Dumfries and then on into Ayrshire, is one I've only ever travelled on once before in my life. It takes an hour just to do this section of the railway. It looks beautiful and I immediately want to come back and explore more some other day. And we're making good time, ahead of time actually, and the trains coming the other way are now ScotRail ones, not Pendolinos. And also, we're now in an area of semaphore signals.
But we're now in a semaphore area. This is Hollywood, and the distance signal was on, which means that the home signal, which is the next signal, could be on, and then the next signal after that could be on. Now I can see from a distance that the signal way ahead, which is the section signal, is actually off, which means I can go, but I've got to physically check that every signal's in the correct position. I can't just assume and go.
At Kilmarnock, we thread our way through the station, and then our destination is just off to one side. This is Brodie Engineering, and they've been doing work on a northern unit, a Class 769. Rob actually drove the train up here and dropped it off a few weeks ago. It's now had its work done to it, and now he's back to collect it and take it back again. Rob even drives the Class 769 himself, but he is also assisted by another member of staff from railway operations. This is Jimmy. He's a mobile coupler, and he travels around the country assisting with train movements like this, as it takes more than one person to bring the train out, reverse it up whilst communicating through a radio, and then couple it up correctly.
Keep setting back.
Just going to break away from being documentary, go a little bit vloggy. I'm just fine, just turn around. Rob's right here, the Loco's there. We've been having a sandwich and a drink and stuff over there. And there was a beautiful moment where I said, oh, I can just hear it, the noise in the background, and you said...
It's just bubbling away.
It's bubbling away.
Bubbling away.
What is it we can hear bubbling right now?
It's just the engine just idling, and it does that kind of thing where it goes pop, 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 pop. It's happy. It's a happy engine, it just sounds sweet.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just love the expression. I will never hear a 37 or any engine now idling without thinking of it bubbling away.
Yeah, when a 37's in top form, it bubbles away.
We've reversed out of the yard. Jimmy has done the shunt. Rob is now driving us back. We got to get back into the Class 37, but we'll do it on the platforms off Kilmarnock. So Rob's just driving us down, and we'll come out of the 769 and go into the 37 at the station. Off we go.
Okay.
Back on the rails.
We're not bubbling anymore.
We head back south. We've changed our code now for running back down to Lancaster. That's where Rob will hand over to someone else. We pass more trains, ScotRail trains, and there's a nice moment where we both just sit and don't actually chat, just enjoying travelling along in the locomotive with the railway stretching out in front of us. We do, though, get to have a stop at Carlisle, and at that point, I'm still fascinated to know why a train that's 60-year-old is much more loved than a modern train.
Oh, okay, so the 60-year-old loco is easier to drive in many ways because it's not as complicated. You don't have to do a huge amount. I mean, the modern locos are things that you've got to monitor and all the rest of it all the time. But with these locos, when they start to throw a wobbler or they go wrong, there's lots of things that you can do to make them go again, where the modern locos go yeah or no. From that point of view, I quite like the old locos.
And Rob really does have a lot of love for the Class 37.
It's the build quality. These things were built, they were hand built, and if you look around and you look at the door handles and stuff like that, they're all brass. It's just really, really well built and put together. And the other thing is that English Electric, they evolved their designs from designs that they had previously. So designs that they had in the 30s, they moved them on incrementally and learned from the mistakes. A lot of designers of locomotives in the 60s went, oh, we've got this new design, yeah, we're going to build 50 or 100 of these locos, and then, oh my God, this doesn't work properly. English Electric didn't tend to do that. The Class 20s, still running, you know, some of them are built in the late 50s. They're great little engines as well, you know. I'm a big fan of English Electric. Yeah, it's robust and it's noisy and it's unrefined compared to the likes of the Class 47s that are quite refined, and the engines, and you speak to people who go, oh, these older engines are much better and all the rest of it. Yeah, they are. But look what's running 60 odd years later. It's these. A bit like me, I suppose. I'm unrefined as well.
And so back we go, heading south, going along the way we came, rolling along the Iron Road through the splendid Scottish countryside. We pass more trains, not just passenger services though, as we're not the only freight out and about today on this part of the railway.
No, it's a 60.
And we come into Preston station on platform 7 on the eastern side of the station. Rob's now completed his shift, so there's another driver from rail operations there to relieve him. And they'll take the Class 37 on, putting the northern unit onto its final destination.
As that pendolino departs behind us, the 37 is down there, pulling the unit. We've made to Preston, so we've just changed over drivers.
That's
so
it.
That train will now go to where tonight?
It's going to Allerton Depot.
But you've done your...
I've done my bit for the day.
You've done your hours.
That's it. That's me. I'm out of hours, so now that guy takes it forwards.
So that was incredible.
Yeah.
You must love your job.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's simple. Yeah. Yeah. There's not many jobs that you get this level of satisfaction out of. The variety is really, really good. So today we've had a day of being able to talk about things, and you know, and when you've got two people that are enthusiastic about what they do, it just makes the day just go like that. I mean, we did 4 hours there, and you thought you'd done an hour.
It felt like, when you're in the cab of a train, it goes so much more quickly.
It does
didn't feel
indeed,
like 4 hours up and 4 hours down.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm genuinely, remarkably blown away by is your amount of knowledge. We're going down the West Coast Mainline, you're going, yeah, that's signal so-and-so, that's that place, that's this part of the loop. You know all the names of all the junctions, of all the loops, of all the stations, of all the places, and you have to have that knowledge.
I need to know that knowledge.
You have to have that for everywhere you sign, which is how many miles of track?
I've not totted it up, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot of the country is in your head.
It is.
As route knowledge.
It is, but my knowledge is only as good as the people that have passed it on to me. So I've been using the Scottish Rail region. I've worked with people who know the route, and they've known it since they were boys, and they pass that on. And you swat it in. As you get older, it becomes more difficult to hold on to that knowledge. But I put a lot of effort into retaining it, and then because I'm a driver instructor, I've got to pass it on to other people.
Rob, thank you.
No problem at all.
Amazing stuff.
No problem.
A classic loco.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Sights,
And
smells, sounds.
Yeah, and I'm
awesome.
glad that everybody at Rail Operations Group have been behind it, and
It's great.
we've got a good team, and I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay.
So my thanks to Rob and everyone at Railway Operations. That was an amazing day up close behind the scenes of a Class 37. They're still about, still in use. I do wonder how many years life they've got left in them, but all the while they're running, they will continue to be a popular, iconic engine on Britain's railways. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.